So hi, we're going to start the lecture on files and directories. So this is the second topic on our module on Bash Shell and Unix. And this topic has been divided in 4 different videos. The first one is this one, navigating on the file system. And then we're going to have a video on file and directory permissions, a third video on renaming, moving, and copying files and directories, and the last video on tips, tricks, and shortcuts. So in this video, I'm going to quickly introduce bash functions. Then I'm going to show you how to navigate between directories, then how to create files and directories, and finally, how to remove files and directories. So last week, we've seen that the overall course objective is to be able to use Bash Shell to both interact with the broad server, to be able to read files, and also to run some computation to generate some GWAS results. So in last video, we have seen what does a terminal look like. We have also seen how to use the terminal to connect to the broad server using SSH and VPN. And so today we're going to see our first bash functions to be able to navigate through directories. So there are a lot of bash functions that at some point you should know by heart. And the best way to start when you learn a new language is to have this kind of sheet that recapitulate all the main bash shell function. And so today we're going to see our first bash functions, which are functions to do specific things, such as moving from a directory to another, or editing files, or moving or copying files. So the first thing to have in hands when you learn a new language, which here is Bash Shell, is to have a little sheet that recapitulates all the important functions. Some of them you should know by heart. So we suggest for you to use this sheet that you can download at this link, to print this sheet and to have this sheet close to you when you start doing your first Bash Shell experiments. So in this module, we're going to see a lot of new functions that I've highlighted here in yellow. Okay, now let's see how to navigate between directories using a terminal. So first, let's see the broad server directory structure. It starts here with a root directory that we're going to name /. And in this directory, you will have many directories, such as a home directory and a prod directory. And in these 2 directories, you're going to have, again, new directories. We're going to be interested here in 2 particular directories, the one which go from the root directory, then home, then Unix, then sghazal, which is going to be my home, my personal home directory, and you're all going to have personal directory in this /home/Unix directory. And then the second directory we're going to be interested in is the Jinja directory, which is in the broad directory. So here we're going to learn 3 commands to navigate in a file system: pwd, cd, and ls. And these 3 commands are super important. You should learn them by heart. So first, let's start with pwd. pwd stands for print working directory. As you can see here, when you type this command outputs you the current directory where you are currently at. So here, for example, when after connecting to the broad server and I type pwd, I am in /home/Unix/sghazal, which is my personal directory. So this directory is your personal directory, which means that nobody can access files and directories unless you decide otherwise, and we're going to see how to do that in a different lecture. Okay. Then let's have a look at the CD function. So CD stands for change directory, and you're going to use this function to navigate from a directory to another. So there are different ways of using this function. So the first way is to type the whole path of your directory. So for example, cd/broad/ginger/ginger vc c1 year 3. Now let's imagine you are already in the Ginger directory and you just want to go to Ginger vc c1 year 3 directory. You don't need to type the whole path, which means you don't need to type cd broad ginger vc c1 year 3. You just need to type cd ginger vc c1 year 3. So now let's say you are in the Ginger directory and you want to go back to the broad directory. Then to navigate up one directory level, you just need to type cd ... So the cd ... means you want to change directory to go to the parent directory. You can also use these two dots 2 times if you need to go 2 directory levels below. And so in that case, you need to type cd ... Then if you want to move to your home directory, you just need to type cd or cd tilde. If you want to go to the root directory, you just need to type cd/. And finally, if you want to navigate to the previous directory, you just need to type cd and use hyphen. So now we're going to see the third and last command, which is ls, and which is a command you're going to use to list files and directories inside a directory. So what we can see here is that when we are in the directory broad ginger and we type the ls function, this outputs the name of 5 different directories. And how do we know that they are directories and not files? It's just because they end with a slash. Then let's say we want to know what are the files and directory inside one of these directories. So for example, the data directory. Then we're going to type ls data/, and it's just going to give us the files and directories inside data. Similarly, if we want to see the files and directory inside the data GWAS directory, we're just going to type ls data GWAS. Okay, now I'm going to show you on my own terminal how I navigate in the broad server. So here is a terminal window that is connected to the broad server. And so the first thing I want to know is in which directory am I. So I'm just going to type pwd. And this is going to output the directory home Unix sgazal. The second thing I want to know is what are the files and directories in home Unix sgazal. So I'm just going to type ls. And we can see that there are 2 files and 4 directories that ends with a slash. Okay, now let's say I want to see what's inside the GWAS directory. So I'm just going to type ls GWAS. And it's going to show me a list of files. Now, let's say I need to move to this GWAS directory. What I'm going to type is cd GWAS. Okay. And then if I type pwd, I'm going to have as a result /home/unix/sgazal/GWAS. Okay. So now let's say I want to move from this GWAS directory from any other different directory. So now let's say I just want to go to the root directory. Okay, so I'm going to type cd/, and I want to move to the GWAS directory from this directory. I'm just going to type the whole path of the directory, cd/home/Unix/sgazal/GWAS. Okay. As you can see, I'm in the GWAS directory. Okay, so now I want to show you a very useful trick, which is to use the tab key of your keyboard, which is on the left of your keyboard in the middle, to automatically complete some command or file or directories. So I'm back to my terminal. Let's say I want to move to /home/Unix/sgazal/GWAS. Here, I do not need to type all the letters of this path. I can use the tab key that will help me to automatically complete this name. So for example, let's say I'm going to start by typing cd/ho. If I use the tab keyboard, it's going to complete automatically the name of the directory, because there's only, in the root menu, only one directory starting by ho. Similarly, I'm going to continue. I'm going to type Unix. I don't need to type everything. I'm typing the tab key, and it's going to complete. And similarly for sgazal, here. So here it does not complete, which means that there are several directories starting by SGA, and I just need to type twice the tab key to view all the directories that start with SGA. So I'm just going to type Z, complete, and GWAS, the G. And here it is. So here it doesn't look super useful because the path is made of really small words, but this is super useful when you have really long paths or complicated file names. Okay, so now let's see how to create files and directories. So there are 4 commands we're going to see here: mkdir, touch, vi, and nano. So you're going to use the mkdir function to create or to make a new directory. So if you need to create a new folder, you just need to type mkdir and the name of your new folder. So here in this example, for example, I've just created a folder that is called new folder. You can also use this command to create multiple directories at the same time using, for example, the command mkdir followed by the name of all the directories you want to create. So now let's say you want to create an empty file. In that case, you're going to use the function touch followed by the name of the file you want to create. So for example, here, if you type touch new file, you're going to create a new file called new file in your working directory. Now let's say if you want to create a file in a specific directory. So for example, you want to create a file in the new folder directory. Then you're going to type touch and the path of your new file. So for example, touch new folder, new file 2. So now let's look at what's happening when you type touch and the name of a file that already exists. So what we can see here, for example, is we have a file called new file that has been created at 4:16 p.m. If we type touch new file, which is an existing file, then it won't modify this file. I think it's just going to update the time where this file has been modified the last time, which is now 4:26 p.m. So one important thing you need to know is that you cannot create a file and a directory with the same name in the same directory, of course. So let's look at this example. So first, we're creating a file called test using the command touch test. And then if we want to create a directory called test using the command mkdir test, then we're going to have the error message saying that we cannot create directory test because there's already a file with the same name that exists in the same directory. So one thing to keep in mind is that anytime you need to specify a file or directory, you can specify its full path. So for example, here, all these three commands produce the same output. Either if you type mkdir test and you are in your home, in your personal directory, this is going to give the same output than mkdir/home unix sgazal test or mkdir /sgazal/test, because all these three commands will point to the same directory. Similarly, the same with touch. You can either use touch, the name of the file, if you want to create a file in your working directory, or touch followed by the full path of the file you want to create. So now we're going to see how to modify a file. So there are two main functions to modify the file. It's either vi, either nano, and we're just going to see how both works. And then it's up to you to pick the one you prefer to edit your first personal file. So now let's say we have created this new file called new file using the command touch. Now let's say you want to modify this file. You're just going to type vi space new file. Then, once you've done that, you just need to type the I key of your keyboard to specify that you want to insert some text. Okay, so once you type vi, you're gonna enter a new screen where you'll be able to edit your file. So to modify your file, to insert some text, you first need to type on the key I to start inserting, and then you can start to modify and edit your file. When you're done, you can either quit by saving your work, either quit without saving your work. So to quit by saving your word, you first need to type the escape key of your keyboard and then to type :WQ and then type enter to quit the VI mode. If you want to quit without saying, you need to type the escape key of your keyboard and then :Q exclamation mark and then enter. So the second option to edit a file is to use the nano function, which is similar to VI, but with a different interface, as you can see. And the two things you need to know here is that once you modify a file, you need to type the control key of your keyboard and the letter O to write and to save your modification. And then you need to type Control and X to exit this interface. So now I'm going to quickly illustrate how to create file, directories, and edit files on the terminal. So here I am in the GWAS directory. So I just want to go back to my personal directory. And the first thing I want to do is to create a new folder. So I'm just going to use the mkdir function and the name of the new folder. Okay, and if I type ls, I can see that I have my new folder in my current directory. Now, let's say I want to create a new folder in the new folder I've created. So I'm just going to type mkdir new folder / new folder 2. Okay, and if I type ls, the outputs are similar. And if I type ls new folder to see what's inside new folder, there's the new directory I've created. Okay, now let's say I just want to create a file. So I'm just going to type touch new file. And if I type ls, I can see that there's a new file here. Now let's say I want to modify this file using vi. I'm just going to type vi new file, the name of the file I've created. And let's say if I want to insert some text, I just need to type the I key of my keyboard and start to write what I need to write. Hello. Enter. And if I want to quit by saving this file, I just need to type escape : WQ. W stands for write and Q for quit. Okay, and now if I reuse vi new file, I can see that my file has been modified. Okay, so now let's move to the last part of this video, which is how to remove files and directories. So the commands you need to know by heart to delete files and directories are the rm command and also the rm-r command or the rmdir function. Okay, so the rm command is the command you're going to use to remove files. And this command can be used to remove several files. So in this example here, we can see that we have here a test file. To remove this file, we just need to type rm test, which is the name of the file we want to remove. And if we type ls again, we can see that this file is not anymore in the directory because it has been removed. Now here here's a command to create two different files, touch test1 and test2, and we have now two new files in our directory. Then if we want to remove two files at a time, we're just going to type rm test1 test2, and this is going to remove the two files. Okay, so now let's say you want to remove a directory and not a file. You cannot use the rm command because it's not a command to remove directories, it's a command to remove files. So you're going to either use the rm command with the r option, or you're going to use the new function, which is rmdir. So here again, I'm going to illustrate how to remove file and directories. So I'm just going to type ls to see the name of all the files and directories in my home directory. And now let's say I want to remove all the new file and directories I've created for the purpose of this class. So if I want to remove the new file, I'm just going to type rm new file. If I type ls, you can see that this file is not here anymore. if I want to remove the new folder directory, I can't use the rm function because it's a function to remove files. So if I type rm new folder, I'm going to have an error message. And so it means that I have either to use rm with the r option or rmdir. And here I'm just going to use rmr and new folder. And as we can see, there is no new folder in my home directory. So this ends the first part of this class. And now we're going to go to the second part, which is about the permissions on your files and directories.